There is a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when the world waits to see who you'll become. It happens in the space between impulse and action, between what you feel and what you choose. A stranger drops something on the street. A friend speaks with a trembling voice. A colleague makes a mistake they're afraid to admit. A family member hides their pain behind a forced smile, and in that thin slice of time, softer than a breath, you stand at a crossroads. One path is easy. Look away, stay silent, walk past. The other path asks for a little more, a touch of kindness, a moment of patience, a willingness to care even when no one is watching. Modern life moves fast. Noise blurs our empathy. Speed dulls our instincts. Yet even in a world obsessed with winning, there remains a truth that quietly holds humanity together. Every small act of help matters, and every moment we choose not to harm becomes a silent offering of peace. Light flickers differently when kindness enters a room. Silence softens when compassion replaces judgment. And the heart expands when it realizes it has the power to ease another's burden, even slightly. So we begin with a simple question, one powerful enough to shift an entire life. In the moments that define you, which path do you choose? We live in an age where connection is everywhere, glowing in our pockets, whispering through screens, vibrating beside our beds. And yet, somehow we drift further from one another. It's strange, isn't it? We have more ways to reach people than any generation before us, but less willingness to truly see them. Noise has become our companion. Silence has become our fear. Speed has replaced sincerity. Walk through a busy city street and you'll notice it. Faces lowered, eyes dimmed by exhaustion, thoughts trapped behind walls of urgency. We scroll past suffering, swipe past vulnerability, and skim past the very emotions that once defined us. We acknowledge problems without touching them. We express concern without offering comfort. We talk about empathy without practicing it. Here lies the paradox. People desperately want to be understood, yet almost no one feels responsible for understanding others. We crave support, but hesitate to offer it. We long for kindness, yet fear appearing weak if we show it first. And so, despite all our progress, we find ourselves more fragile, more guarded, more easily hurt. In this rush toward self-protection, we forget something simple and deeply human. Helping someone doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's a quiet presence, a steady voice, or an act so small it barely has a name. A hand that lifts instead of pushing away. A word that calms instead of cutting. A choice that does no harm when doing harm would be easier. But modern urgency seduces us into believing that kindness is a luxury we can postpone. Later, we tell ourselves, when I have time, when I'm more stable, when life slows down. Yet life rarely slows, and opportunities to help or to avoid hurting appear everywhere, disappearing just as quickly. Picture a colleague overwhelmed but pretending to manage. You notice, you feel something inside you pause. For a moment, compassion wants to speak, but then the mind intervenes. You're busy. You have problems too. Someone else will help, and the opportunity slips quietly away. Or consider the friend whose message you didn't answer for days, not out of malice, but out of fatigue. You meant to respond, you meant to show up, but the moment passed, and with it, a piece of connection you didn't realize mattered. This is the paradox of our time. We are more capable of helping than ever, yet increasingly unwilling to pause long enough to care. And in this reluctance, harm grows not from cruelty, but from neglect, not from intention, but from indifference. Still, beneath the noise, beneath the speed, something in us resists this trend. A softer instinct, an ancient pull toward compassion, a quiet knowing that helping others is not a burden, but a return to our truest self. Because when you help someone, you don't lose time, you gain meaning. And when you avoid harming someone, you protect a piece of humanity that modern life often forgets. A deeper truth waits beneath this paradox, ready to rise the moment we slow down enough to hear it. But what if the very thing we avoid is what we need most? What if kindness isn't something we give, but something we remember, a returning, not a reaching? A homecoming to the part of us that existed long before fear, pride, or self-preservation shaped our reactions. Imagine peeling back everything life has layered onto you. The disappointments, the defenses, the quiet bruises of experience. Beneath all of it, there is a softness, a gentleness that survived the chaos of growing up, a natural instinct to care. This is the truth at the heart of the philosophy. Helping others is not an obligation. It is a return to our original nature. And refraining from harm, when we could judge, ignore, dismiss, or destroy, is a protection of that nature. But to understand this fully, we must explore the forces that pull us away from this inner truth. The layers that harden us. Life has a way of chiseling us into sharper shapes. We learn to rush. We learn to guard. We learn to compete, compare, justify, and defend. And somewhere along the way, we begin to believe that softness is a liability. Because in a world that rewards strength, softness looks like weakness. In a culture that idolizes ambition, slowing down to help feels impractical. And in a society obsessed with protecting the self, doing no harm feels like falling behind. Speed hardens us. Pressure hardens us. Fear hardens us even more. But the most dangerous hardening happens silently, when we stop believing that our small actions matter. The power of the smallest gesture. The biggest misconception about kindness is that it must be heroic, that helping someone means solving their problem entirely, that doing no harm means being perfect, always composed, always wise. But the philosophy hidden in the sentence, if you can help others, help. If you can't, at least don't harm them, is far simpler. It says, do what you can, in the moment you can do it, without adding unnecessary suffering. One gentle word, one breath of patience, one refusal to escalate, one moment of noticing someone's humanity before reacting. Help doesn't always look like fixing. Often, it looks like not making things worse. A person trembling with grief doesn't need solutions. They need space, not to collapse alone. A child breaking down doesn't need shame. They need understanding. A stranger crying on the train doesn't need a hero. They need someone not to stare, judge, or dismiss. No harm. That alone is a kind of help. And yet, we underestimate this. We underestimate us. Why we hesitate to help. We hesitate for 3 reasons. Fear of responsibility. We feel that helping others makes us accountable for their outcome, their emotions, their next step. Fear of inadequacy. We think, what difference can I possibly make? So we make none. Fear of vulnerability. Helping requires acknowledging our own tenderness. It exposes our capacity to feel. But here's the paradox. Every time you help, you strengthen the very part of you you're afraid will break. And every time you choose not to harm, especially when harm would be the easier reaction, you reclaim your power over yourself. Helping others does not weaken you. It returns you to alignment, to integrity, to the version of you untouched by cynicism. The unseen ripples of compassion. One of the most profound truths about this philosophy is that kindness travels invisibly. You rarely see its full impact. You'll never know the relief someone felt because you listened without judgment. You'll never know the courage someone gained because you encouraged them when they doubted themselves. You'll never know the pain someone avoided because you chose patience instead of anger. Kindness works in echoes, quiet, soft, but endlessly expanding. And harm works the same way. A harsh word becomes an insecurity. A careless comment becomes a wound. A moment of indifference becomes a memory of abandonment. We are always influencing the world around us, even in silence, even in what we choose not to do. This is why the philosophy matters so much. It recognizes that every interaction is a crossroads, and every crossroads is an opportunity to shape the unseen future. Seeing with the heart, not the habit. Most of our harmful reactions don't come from cruelty. They come from habit. We judge automatically. We dismiss reflexively. We protect ourselves instinctively, even when no threat exists. But the moment we pause, truly pause, a shift occurs. In the pause, empathy wakes up. In the pause, awareness returns. In the pause, we see the human in front of us again. This is the heartbeat of the philosophy. Pause long enough to see clearly. Once you see clearly, you will choose compassion naturally. And when compassion is impossible, choose peace instead of harm. It is astonishing how much gentler life becomes when we stop reacting from habit and start responding from presence. The inner architecture of compassion. Compassion has three pillars. Awareness, seeing what is truly happening. Without awareness, kindness becomes accidental. With awareness, it becomes intentional. Courage, stepping toward someone's pain instead of away from it. Even small steps count. Boundaries, helping without losing yourself. This philosophy never demands self-sacrifice. It asks only that you be a source of gentleness, not destruction. Helping others is not about draining your energy. It's about aligning your actions with your values. And avoiding harm is not about being passive. It's about choosing peace over impulse. The essence of the teaching. At its core, the philosophy holds one timeless truth. What you offer to others, you reinforce within yourself. When you help, you strengthen compassion. When you avoid harm, you strengthen wisdom. When you choose gentleness, you become gentler. When you choose presence, every action shapes you. Every reaction writes your character. Every choice leaves a trace on the world. So the question is no longer, Should I help? Or even, am I capable of helping? The question is, who do I become when I choose kindness? And who do I become when I don't? In that answer lies the path to a life of profound clarity. And so we arrive at the truth that ties everything together. Compassion is not a favor to others. It is a doorway back to yourself. There was once an old watchmaker who lived at the edge of a quiet town. His workshop was small, a single wooden room with dust floating like slow-moving stars in the afternoon sun. On the walls hung clocks of every size, tall clocks, pocket watches, delicate silver ones whose ticking sounded like whispered secrets. People said he could fix anything that counted time, but the watchmaker himself knew that wasn't true. The real reason people visited wasn't to repair their clocks. It was to repair something far more fragile. One winter morning, a young man entered the shop. His shoulders were stiff, his eyes dull with exhaustion. He carried a golden pocket watch, beautiful, but cracked down the center. "It belonged to my father," the young man said quietly. "I dropped it the day he passed. I've never forgiven myself." The watchmaker held the watch gently, as if holding a memory. The crack was deep, a fracture that split the dial like a wound that refused to close. "I can try," the watchmaker murmured. But some breaks aren't meant to disappear. Some are meant to teach. The young man frowned, unsure what that meant, but he nodded anyway and waited as the watchmaker began his work. For hours, the workshop was filled with soft ticking, like 100 tiny heartbeats surrounding them. Outside, snow drifted against the windows, thick enough to muffle the world. Inside, the watchmaker unscrewed, polished, adjusted, listened. And then he stopped. The young man leaned forward. "Is it fixable?" The watchmaker handed it back. The crack remained, but the gears inside now moved smoothly, ticking with steady life. "It will work again," the watchmaker said. "It just won't be perfect." The young man's face tightened. But perfection is what he deserved. I failed him. Silence settled. A heavy, compassionate silence. The watchmaker's eyes softened. "My boy," he said, "your father did not love you for your perfection. He loved you for your presence, and presence does not break." The young man looked down at the cracked watch, the ticking now steady in his hand. "But the mistake I made, we all make mistakes," the watchmaker interrupted gently. "The question is not whether we fail. It is whether we harm ourselves for failing." The room felt warmer somehow, though the snow still pressed against the glass. The watchmaker continued, "Let me tell you something I've learned from fixing time. Every watch I restore carries the fingerprints of everyone who touched it, the owner, the maker, the moments it lived through. The cracks do not erase its story. They are its story." The young man swallowed hard, emotion rising. "So I should forgive myself?" "Forgive?" The watchmaker smiled. "My friend, forgiveness is simply the decision not to harm yourself anymore." The young man's hands trembled. For the first time in years, he exhaled, long, shaky, and real. But the story didn't end there. As he prepared to leave, the watchmaker handed him a small cloth pouch. Inside was a second watch, simple, brass, unpolished. "This one is for you," the old man said, "so you remember something important." "Remember what?" the young man whispered. "That you can always help others," the watchmaker replied. "But you must never wound yourself in the process. You must offer the world your kindness, not your self-destruction. The young man's eyes filled with tears, not from sadness, but from recognition. A truth that had slept inside him finally awakened. He bowed gratefully and stepped out into the snow-covered street. The cold air felt softer, lighter. The clocks behind him ticked in unison, as if the whole workshop breathed with relief. And as he walked away, he realized something profound. The crack in the watch had never been a symbol of failure. It was a reminder that even broken things can keep time, that even hurting hearts can still choose gentleness, and that helping others, or choosing not to harm them, begins with how we treat ourselves. Under the pale winter sky, with snow settling on his shoulders, he whispered a promise he could finally keep. I will walk more softly, with others and with myself. And somewhere behind him, through the frosted glass, 100 clocks continued ticking, steady, imperfect, alive. There comes a moment in every life when the world grows quiet enough for truth to surface. It doesn't arrive with thunder. It doesn't crash like a wave. It comes softly, the way dusk settles, or the way a single breath steadies a trembling heart. For the young man in the snow, that truth arrived with the rhythm of a cracked watch. Tick, tick, tick. Steady, imperfect, alive. And perhaps this is where his story merges with ours. Because each of us carries a crack somewhere. A regret, a lost chance, a harsh word we wish we could take back. A moment when we harmed someone unintentionally, or a moment when we harmed ourselves far more than necessary. We carry these fractures quietly, the way he carried his broken watch. We hide them under laughter, under achievements, under the armor we wear to survive our days. But still, they tick inside us. And the paradox of being human is this: the more we try to erase our imperfections, the heavier they become. But the moment we see them with gentleness, something shifts. Light enters. Breath returns. Kindness becomes possible again. The return to ourselves. This is why the watchmaker's teaching matters so deeply. Forgiveness is simply the decision not to harm yourself anymore. Because you cannot help others when your heart is a battlefield. You cannot be gentle with the world when your mind is waging war against itself. You cannot offer compassion outward if cruelty rules inward. And yet, isn't it strange? We show compassion to strangers more easily than we show it to ourselves. We forgive others' mistakes while punishing our own endlessly. It is here, right here, that the core teaching expands. Helping others begins with understanding your own hurt, and avoiding harm begins with refusing to deepen your own wounds. Inside every compassionate act, there is a quiet promise. I will not contribute to suffering. Not yours, not mine. That promise changes everything. The moment everything converges. Imagine standing in front of the mirror. The light is dim. The room is still. You look at your own reflection. The tired eyes, the softened jaw, the quiet scars time left behind. And suddenly you see it. You are the young man. You are the watch. You are the watchmaker. You are the one who carries the crack. You are the one who longs to heal. And you are the one with the ability even the responsibility to choose gentleness over harm. This is the emotional climax, the place where the philosophy stops being an idea and becomes a lived understanding. Helping others doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. Doing no harm doesn't require sainthood. It requires awareness. And the beautiful truth is this: you don't have to fix everything to make a difference. You just have to not break what's already fragile. You don't need grand gestures. You need small, steady choices. A softer tone, a longer pause, a willingness to see the human being in front of you and the human being within you. The real turning point. Here is where everything circles back to the opening guiding principle. If you can help, help. If you cannot, at least do not harm. It's simple, timeless, unshakable. And yet, when practiced, it becomes revolutionary. Because in a world full of rushing, blaming, defending, and striving, choosing compassion is an act of courage. Choosing gentleness is an act of strength. Choosing not to harm is an act of profound wisdom. Every small kindness reconnects you to yourself. Every avoided cruelty keeps the world from darkening further. And so the question becomes, what kind of trace do you want to leave in the hearts of others? What kind of echo do you want your presence to create? In the steady ticking of that cracked watch, imperfect but alive, the answer waits. In the end, life does not ask us to be extraordinary. It asks us to be awake. Awake to the moments when our presence matters. Awake to the quiet spaces where choice is born. Awake to the simple truth that every action, even the softest one, carries weight. When we strip away the noise, the expectations, the invisible pressures that shape our days, something essential remains. The awareness that we are always shaping the world around us, moment by moment. And perhaps that is why this teaching endures across cultures, across generations, across the fragile distance between one heart and another. If you can help, help. If you cannot, do not harm. It is more than advice. It is a way of moving through the world with intention, a way of breathing that gives others room to breathe too, a way of choosing that protects what is tender and honors what is human. So for a moment, right here, right now, pause. Feel your own heartbeat. Feel the subtle weight of your presence in this moment. And let a quiet question rise within you. Where can I bring softness today? To myself? To someone else? To a place that feels brittle with unspoken hurt? The answer doesn't need to be dramatic. It only needs to be honest. As you step back into your life after this video, carry this with you. A gentle word is a form of healing. A withheld judgment is a form of mercy. And your smallest kindness may be the turning point in someone's unseen story. Compassion is the quietest form of courage, and the one the world needs most.